As we've just seen there, the rand strengthening by around 2% as the markets welcome President Cyril Ramaphosa's re-election as head of the ANC. Now, many are still wondering if the president will be able to take full advantage of his second term and action the renewal that he's campaigned on. We've got Peter Attard Montalto, who's the head of capital markets research at Intellidex, who joins us now to discuss this and more. Thank you very much for agreeing to join us this evening, Peter. Perhaps let's start with that. Is the president, in your opinion, going to be taking full advantage of the second opportunity that he's now gotten to get things right within not only the party but as head of state as well?
Good evening. Well, let's not forget he already has a reform agenda. So the issue is, can you implement it? How and at what speed? So I think the key worry we have after the Section 89 report and after Pala, after he was persuaded not to resign, was that he is now beholden to certain ministers who are maybe less reform-centric. However, that's now been offset slightly with obviously this win and maybe a slight win behind him in terms of the top 7. But we need to be very careful here, right? The top 6 in the past, where the ANC were not really blockages on reform. It were blockages within government from ministers, many of whom are in key positions now in the top 7. And so I think it's going to be noisy, it's going to be contested. We can still see some reforms, but it's going to be a challenging path ahead still.
Intellidex, in its note earlier, Peter, did indicate a couple of concerns around some of the members of the top 7, Nomvula Mokonyane being one of them, and of course the changing of the deputy head of state. Give us your thoughts on some of those top 7 and where those concerns would lie.
So obviously we all went through a massive roller coaster over the weekend of expectations, but the top 7 is roughly where we thought it would be, say, a month ago in terms of the balance. I think the issue around the first Deputy Secretary General, Mokonyane, is really she's taken out by the NPA around the Bosasa and other issues and other scandals from her past in the next year or so. I think that's definitely a risk to watch. And of course, we have a battle of when Paul Mashatile will want to take over as deputy president of the country as well. He can't actually become an MP until May, when the lists open back up for changes to the parliamentary list. So there's lots still to happen. I think markets are also concerned, of course, about the probability or the chance that Ramaphosa still resigns over Pala. Let's not forget that thing isn't over. There's still the SARB potential fine to come. There's NPA news probably to come at some point as well. And the market's still concerned, given we got so close to resignation before, that it happens again. And hence, all eyes very much on who is deputy president of the country as much as deputy president of the ANC. So still a lot of moving parts, I think, to go. We're not really out of the woods on these things quite yet.
No, we're not. And of course, the president might have to consider a reshuffle, given the notion that Fikile Mbalula, the new Secretary General, will be focusing full-time on his new role as SG. So that important Ministry of Transport will lay vacant and will obviously need to be filled.
Well, indeed. I think the thing we can really see actually at water, if we take that as an example from the last 5 years, of where you saw a very successful insertion of a minister in Senzo Mchunu, combined with a highly respected DG in Sean Phillips, you've actually seen the Parliament and the ministry really start to turn things around. So it shows what is possible. I think the market's key concern, of course, is that we have a splitting out of energy or a change in leadership at the energy ministry in particular, for someone who's actually going to champion the very complex process of energy system change in the year ahead, and can really grapple with some of these very complex and knotty problems that the country is facing on the just energy transition. There's obviously a lot of talk they might move, say, to DFFE energy. I don't think the market would have a problem with, say, Barbara Creasy being in charge of energy as an example. And of course, the speculation has already started as well in terms of ESCOM. You remember, I think we've talked before about this endless speculation about ESCOM moving to DMRE. I think that very much depends on who is in charge of DMRE as to what the reaction really is. But we should remember on that front that the reforms that are meant to be happening, the moving of the DPE functions into the presidency, into a sovereign wealth fund or a sovereign asset manager, is not ready yet. And so all of the reshuffle that happens around that will be happening a little bit early versus some of those reforms.
Very interesting conversation there, Peter. I'm really hoping to catch up with you, particularly on that RME issue and Gwede Mandashe's future within that ministry. That is Peter Attard Montalto, who's the head of capital markets research at Intellidex, joining us to break down the market reaction to what we saw happen today at the